Hello! I am back on the server here on the ShrubSMP, and it's been a little while since I've been on the server. Last I left off, I was back on the starter island outside of spawn, finishing up some projects back there, and said that I would return back here to the major project, my ancient city restoration project here underneath the Dark Castle 6.0 location, which is above ground here. And since it's been a little while since I've been on the server, I figured I'd just at least come down here and start to get back into the swing of things. I really didn't have a major build or a major section of the area to get started on, but what we're going to do today is just take on, just to get back in the swing of things, a few of the smaller projects. Definitely getting started with, back in episode 7, I said that I was going to make a counterpart machine for the one that I had made that grows the teal colored twisted vines from the nether. And here's that machine right over here. It's been sitting here growing the vine. Look at this vine, this one vine. To be honest, this answers a question that I never really knew the answer to about how far the vines will grow. They'll grow up until they hit a solid block. But let's just chop some of these down and put them into the collection bin. Anyway, what I did say we were going to do is, this is the teal color twisted vines. There is a counterpart in the nether that are red. They're crimson weeping vines, and they actually grow, instead of from the bottom up, they grow from the top down. The machine to grow them and collect them is pretty much the same, except it goes from the top down, like I said, and we're going to go ahead and build that today somewhere over there on the other side. So that's definitely going to be one thing we'll get going. And then another project that we got started and want to put a little more detail into is just over here next to the portal behind me. There really isn't anything else in that courtyard, but I did figure that that is going to be like a little courtyard area that's definitely going to have some life to it. And with life will come some type of landscape. We're talking dirt, we're talking grass, or maybe something even more fun. And that's when I realized one of the more satisfying things to do in Minecraft is to grow mycelium. And mycelium is a special block that can really only be found in mushroom biomes, or mushroom island biomes to be specific. And there's some blocks of mycelium that I've had in my inventory. I just grabbed 4 of them for the time being, because what we're going to do is we're going to show what it looks like when it spreads with the mechanics of how mycelium grass does the same thing, but we want to grow more of this. So instead of having to fly off and collect it, I thought it would be a fun idea to kind of do a time lapse. We'll show how mycelium spreads. We'll speed it up so it looks really neat from above, and we'll be doing that in today's episode as well. Why? So that we will have enough mycelium to take it down below and start to build out the what would be the grass, but it's not going to be grass, because mycelium is kind of a mysterious property to it. Definitely has a little bit of a mysterious property to it, in terms it has these little particles it gives off. Nobody really knows. Well, they say it's spores, but we can think it's whatever it is. Maybe that's just part of what why the research is occurring in the lab that's underneath the central structure that we built a couple episodes ago. We'll figure out some of the lore involved with why it is that mycelium is growing in certain parts of this restored ancient city down here, and why it is that the scientists might be so interested in it. But yeah, so we'll do that, and then I think lastly, as a third little bit, looking back over at the front, the entrance to the kind of the main walkway here behind me, this area here, we'll work it out and we'll get started on those items today as I really get back to starting to add some more details. Like I said, nothing special, nothing really exciting in terms of large builds, but just getting back into the swing of things down here. And we're really probably going to be spending a lot of more time here in the near future to start building some of those major features up. And we'll go one step at a time, but for now, let's get started with what we intend to do today and head on working on that machine. And so now I was looking around pretty much multiple spots down here, and I really just came back to what's just behind me, where the original vine machine is, right there on the end, just to my side over here. Why not just stick it right next to it? I mean, it does kind of have an abrupt ending. I didn't know whether or not I was going to have to extend this or cut it short when we really rounded out some of the final details on the structure of this area, and it just kind of comes to an abrupt halt there. So what we're going to do is just hop on down there and build the machine right here on the end, just like the other one right there. So this way, at least, you know, if you're coming for those vines, you need to grow some up and gather them, you can do them right in the right spot instead of having to go back and forth from one side of the city to the other. So I think right here is where we're gonna build it up, and that means one quick little build and we'll be done down here for this episode. So let's get to it. Okay, I've cleared out a little spot for the machine, and now it's time to build it up from the ground up. Okay, I think we have just about everything in place. I mean, you can certainly tidy it up just a little bit, but well, let's see if it's functional. Go back behind the scenes here, check out the redstone. So it's got to come through here and wind its way up and hopefully push those two things together. Let's test it out, see how it goes. I don't have bone meal in, so it's not going to actually work, but okay, we got one action. Something's wrong. We got to go back up there and check it out. So the redstone goes up, goes off to the side. It's the piston, and are they facing each other? No, so this has to face the opposite direction. That was the problem. We're going to put that in the middle. Put this facing that way. Oh, fell right down the middle. But yes, you can see their faces are facing forward. If I can get out of here. And now it should be continuous action. There it goes. Perfect. All right, all we need now is some bone meal, and this machine is finished. Alright, I've got the bone meal, and let's just climb on up there and load it up and test this thing out, make sure it works, and we'll actually let it run for a little bit so that we can collect our first bit of weeping vines so that we can use them for the decoration in the building area. And I can't stick it in there. What? That's the piston. I have a problem. I cannot load the... I fell on the bottom. I can't load I can't load the dispenser. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get around that. It's right behind that piston. So I think what we'll do, just for a temporary measure, is we'll go ahead and stick this bone meal in there for now, and we'll probably, actually right where I knocked that block off, right here, we could probably put a feeding mechanism similar to what we have with this blue one over here on the side, where we can load bone meal directly from a chest in there. But for the time being, we'll just have it hidden. Let's test it out, give it a little tester, and make sure it works, and flick the lever. There it goes. Look at that. So what we're watching is the bone meals firing out of that dispenser, and it's continuously going back and forth and firing the piston. Now, these weeping vines grow at varying lengths. They can grow anywhere from 1 to like 8, I think it is. So that's why you're seeing some... Oh, one just flew out the top. As just like when I built the last one, there's probably some little like crack that they're flying out. So I'll have to keep my eyes open for that and seal it up. But this is how it works in the meantime, and because I have a hopper minecart, they're being collected extra fast and down here into the chest. So that's really it. That's the machine, and we got it over here with the... There goes another one. All right, let's shut it off before we make a mess down here. We'll have to figure out where those things are coming out, but it's functional, it's working, and we can always pretty it up and shore it up in a little bit. Okay, I'm over here back at the starter island because we're going to do the spreading of the mycelium, and what you need is you need a whole bunch of dirt, and you need a little plot of land that's contained and separated from grass, because grass will spread and compete with the mycelium to empty patches of dirt. So what I'm really going to do is just out here in front of me, in this little plot of land aside from my island, is going to build a big square of dirt surrounded by stone that we can stop the grass from spreading in and allow the mycelium to grow 100% by itself. And we're going to do it in the form of a time lapse so we can see from overhead as it sprows. It's a pretty satisfying thing to watch in fast speed, and we're going to see that right now. Alright, now that we have the dirt field all ready to go, let's place these mycelium blocks. We're going to put 4 of them in the middle. There's a little torch right above my head that I put in the middle of the field. And all we have to do is go ahead and place the 4 blocks there and watch them grow. Alright, now that the entire field has been completely converted, and boy was that really neat to see the way it spreads out to the edges. I will be honest, it took a little bit longer than I expected, but that's the magic of doing time lapses. We can make it speed up real fast and look really cool. And now that I am surrounded by a full field of mycelium, it's time to break out the silky spoon, that's my shovel with silk touch enchantment, so that I can collect these things and get ready to bring them down to the deep dark, where we're going to figure out a place to start putting it down on the ground to see these particles again, like we talked about just a moment ago. Gonna have to figure out why it is that these particles come out. And I mean, we're gonna go a little beyond the traditional Minecraft lore and kind of build this into the story of what's really going on down there. But I'm gonna get started collecting these things, and then we'll be back in a shulker box down in the deep dark in the Ancient City Restoration. We'll see you there shortly. Real quick, a little bit of a surprise. As I got started here, I found that there was some mycelium underneath the platform, and I didn't know that. So again, just when I thought I knew a lot about Minecraft mechanics, I'm guessing, I'm gonna have to look this up to confirm, but I think because there's only one block back here in the corner, that it could actually spread within a block, and that's why these pieces of mycelium were underneath my platform. Pretty neat. Again, you know, sometimes you think you know it all, and then you really find something new. So again, we're gonna keep cleaning up the rest of this stuff and get back down to the project, but just figured I'd pop in there and check that out. Like, you never know what you're gonna find. All right, we're back down here in the Ancient City, looking down at the central walkway from above, and I've kind of decided to start placing some of this mycelium. We're going to go basic. We're just going to go with a little bit of outlining right here at the base of all of those restored pillars on the left and right. Right there where the regular deep slate stone is, we're going to replace all that with mycelium just to kind of see, to get a sense of what this texture looks like. It's kind of gray enough to begin with. It has a little bit of a grayish purple magenta hue, so I want to go ahead and at least replace the blocks just to see what type of tone that gives, so then that'll give us an idea where else we can start placing it amongst the different structures and restored features down here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now so we can get a good look at what it looks like when it's done. So let's just hop on down there and get started. Okay, the mycelium is in place and I like it. I definitely like the contrast. It is subtle. It doesn't really pop out like some of those other brighter colors, which we will certainly be using, especially the crimson and the teals. The teal obviously here in the middle, but I think it really does add a little bit. So we're going to continue to use mycelium in areas like this type of flooring that needs a little bit of contrast to kind of set apart the structures, and I think that's where we're going to use it the most common. So in, down here throughout the little repeating structures that are all around the different parts of the deep dark, I think like right there in the middle of that central feature there, we're going to go ahead and put some mycelium at the bottom. So we'll continue to gather it, we'll continue to place it around this area down here, but now I think what we're going to go on and do is go ahead and wrap this episode up. So I think we've definitely got everything accomplished that we wanted to today. Just a couple little small projects to get things back into the swing of things down here in the Ancient City Restoration Project, where we're going to continue in the next episode and probably the next couple after that. There's a plenty to do down here and a lot of work to be done and plenty of ideas. I got to get some new ideas about what to do with some of those structures around and how to bring in more life down here and some more of the lore involved with what is actually happening down here and what those researchers might be up to. Who knows? We'll find that out and more as I continue to build this area up, and I wanted to just say thank you so much for stopping by, and we will see you in the next episode.